Suit up, strap in, warm the tires, and leave on yellow. Time for the MitsuTimes podcast, presented by MitsuTimes.org, the home of the fastest Mitsubishi cars. With your host, Josh.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Josh with MitsuTimes. Today we're here with Nick Amaral, the owner and driver of the Wild Evo, the best-looking Evo on the list, in my opinion, and soon to be going to the top. Nick, how's it going, man? How are you today?
It's going, man. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. All right, so tell us a little bit about the Wild Evo as it sits right now. What kind of setup has it got?
So, as it sits right now, we haven't done anything. We haven't changed it, so it's still the same setup as last year. It's still the 7685 billet block. It's got the full RRT spec drivetrain, so that's dog box trans, T-case, pretty much everything that he offers to go fast, to go sevens. I have everything from race. And again, we haven't really changed anything. The car's, the day I got it back from World Cup and put it on the lift, it's been sitting there. It's ready to go. All we got to do is throw some M5 in it, and it's ready to go.
Nice. All right, so why the Evo? What made you choose the platform?
Typical. I had a bunch of DSMs growing up. My first car was an NA 1G 5-speed. Thing was a piece of junk. And you have those cars. Evos are out, everybody wants an Evo.
Yeah.
If you're a DSM guy, you want an Evo. So it's always been a dream car of mine, and that's why we have it, It's how it goes. You get one, and then you get two, and then you get three, and here we are, we got one of the fastest ones in the world. Hell
yeah. Tell us about the car when you bought it. Did you plan on it being where it is now?
Nah, man, it's funny. When I first got the car, there's a picture of it in the DSport magazine. The day that I got it, that's what that car looked like. It was just your wicked white Evo 8. It wasn't the cleanest. It was beaten pretty hard, had some rot. All the fenders were split and cracked. And it was pretty much stock. It had a 6266 on it, but other than that, the motor itself was just a stock block. And I bought it with the intentions of just driving it around on the street, and that was it. And maybe driving on weekends, take my dog for a ride, and then here we are.
One part after another.
That's it, man. It's just, it all started with a blown clutch. I blew the clutch, and I was like, if I'm going to rip this tranny out, I'm just going to rip this motor out. And then once I had it sitting there, I was like, yeah, if I'm going to rip this out and just have it, I'm not just going to do a clutch. I want to build the car. So then I ended up just doing a simple steel rod build, threw a 64-66 on it, went forward facing, had just regular 8 injectors, threw it on Ignite, and I went 950 with it, I think, or 940 was my best with that setup.
If only you knew then how much you'd be taking that engine in and out.
Oh, yeah, man. It's been a very wild ride.
So what different setups have you had in it besides the one it has now?
So like I said, the first real build was that steel rod motor. It was your basic, Wiseco piston.
Yeah.
With a rod setup, 64-66 with an ETS manifold, and it was pretty much a stock tranny with just some carbon mesh synchros and your typical rebuild. And I was just on a regular quarter-master twin, and it was still a street car. Made 7 and change and drove it around and had a good time, and then ended up blowing that up trying to go 9s, and then I went 993 on that. But I ended up windowing the block.
Oh, man.
Yep. So then the following year, I drove to, I don't even know, somewhere in Amish land. I think it was Pennsylvania. And we bought a block that was supposedly a busher build. And we had no idea what it was. It was just a mystery block. So I just bought it real quick just to slap it on and just get back to the track. And it ended up being a Thanos motor. The thing just didn't want to die.
Wow.
And we went a whole season with no issues. Just we had head gasket issues, but besides that, we didn't have any issues with that motor. And then 2 seasons ago, I decided I wanted to go build a block, just try to be different,
Yeah.
And once I switched to that billet block, it was 7285, forward facing, made a lot of jam. That's when I pretty much made that a full race car.
Yeah. It's amazing that, you just bought a block you didn't know much about, and it just held together for so long.
Yeah, we still joke to this day and call it the Thanos motor. I ended up donating that block to some kid in Connecticut.
Oh, nice.
And pretty sure it's still in his car today, and he's still making all kinds of power with it.
Wow.
It was like 80 over pistons, like crazy. Half-inch head studs, like it had a good build in it, and it lasted. I don't know. You know how they say cast ain't fast.
Yeah.
So that's why we're sticking with the billet.
All right. So going through all those builds, would you do them all the same if you was to start over with another Evo?
Well, I mean, if I knew then what I knew now, I probably wouldn't have wasted time like doing all those phases. Like I probably would just jump. If I wanted to go fast, I would just jump into what we're doing now.
Yeah.
I mean, I went slowly. I learned that, if you want a street car, then you should keep it a street car. But if you want a drag car, then you got to keep it a drag car.
You can't have both?
You can. It's just, now it's a lot easier because all the education and knowledge is there. But, for the most part, I did a lot of this on my own until I met Rafe. It was just me and my buddy Shane. Weekends, we didn't go home. We would just go to the shop, build the car, go to the track, break it, and just try to make the next event.
And Shane's a DSM guy too, right?
Yeah, Shane's a diehard DSM guy.
That's what I thought.
We met through a mutual friend, and since that day, we've been, hanging out and just building cars together.
Nice.
Yeah, it's funny because he's a DSM guy. I was a DSM guy when I met him. I had a 1J at the time, and my hand was broken, and we were literally building cars together. I was one-handed, and it's been pretty funny, to transition from shitbox 1Gs to,
one of the most well-known Evos in the world.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's still crazy. I don't know. It just doesn't sink in that people look at this car and think, this is one of the badass Evos in the country. And
yeah.
Well, it's known. I got guys that message us on Instagram, from Jamaica, all over the world, Lebanon, I don't know, Ukraine, Czechoslovakia. People just love the car and support it. It's crazy.
And, besides being fast, one of the main reasons it's so well known is the eye-catching wrap. What made you choose that wrap?
So there's a lot of reasons and a lot of things behind that. The car has always been called the Wild Evo since I had it. I was just so sick of I feel like everybody's Evos these days was either white or black.
Yeah.
Just pretty basic. And to be honest, a wicked white Evo, in my opinion, is cursed. And if any of these Evo guys are listening, white Evos are cursed. So I was like, yeah, let's just give this thing a wrap. And I had a couple of different wraps on it throughout the other seasons. But this last year, I was like, I just want something crazy, in your face, just stands out. Came up with a wrap, and then my guys over at Viper Graphics showed them what I wanted and kind of came up with it, and they just made it happen. And it was they literally took it right out of my head and put it on the car. So, huge shout out to those guys over there. But yeah, that's the Wild Evo now.
You had another car wrap to match too, didn't you?
I did. I had our push car originally. I had a wrap to match, but nobody wanted to drive it. Nobody wanted to be together in the truck, So I ended up we have a golf cart that's matched.
Oh yeah, that's right. Now you got a golf cart. All right, so now we're going to pause for a little ad break. This episode of the MitsuTimes podcast is brought to you by AS Custom Keys. They make keys for your Mitsubishi that you can customize to match your valve cover, or you can get one that looks like the OEM valve cover. You can customize them to whatever you want. They have 420A, dual overhead cam 6G7.2, the DSM Fluent VR4 4G6.3, and Evo 4G6.3 valve cover keys. Get yours today by hitting them up on Instagram at AS Custom Keys. All right, so let's get back to, we talked about how a lot of Evos are white and black. Sergio and Edward in their yellow Evo, was the first one into the sevens. Why has it seemed like the American Evos can't surpass the Greek Evos? Do you think the parts that they have, what do you think it is?
I don't want to sound rude or, biased in any way, but I'm a pretty firm believer is if you can do it, then why can't you do it in front of everyone else? If you're doing it in a different country, come to America and do it and just take that crown, hit and just show everybody that your car's fast and you win sevens.
Yeah.
But if you just look at some of the slips that are on MitsuTimes and you do the math, some of them just don't add up.
Yeah, the miles per hour doesn't match the quarter.
Yeah.
David had offered to pay Spyro. He had offered to pay to have his Evo shipped over for the shootout, and he refused to do it.
Yeah, why? If people are putting the money up for you, that And this community, one thing I will say about the community is if they say they're going to do something, they'll do it. So they raised money. They were ready to, have these guys come over. They were going to pay for their whole trip, give them a hotel, just go do a pass. This guy's claiming he broke his timing belt and went 156 miles an hour in the quarter mile and went whatever he claimed, I don't even know what it is, 760 or 770, whatever it is. But, for the guys that are out here doing it every day, we know that that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
The fastest eighth mile per hour right now is like 154 or whatever it is. Rafe just broke, that 150 mark that he's trapping 150, 155 in the eighth, and he's flying. For that, Spyros to be going 156 in the quarter broken, it just doesn't make sense. If you just add up these 330s and the 660 and, their eighth mile times in the mile an hour, you can do the math, These guys aren't even cutting good 60 foots and they're going that fast. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, I know at one point in time, Spyro said he did a sub-second 60 foot, but didn't have anything to show for it.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Again, anybody that knows this platform and the Evo platform knows that it's really hard to go fast in these cars. Think about it. Think about how many fast Evos there are, and just look at their consistent time slips. The most consistent 7-second Evo is Rafe.
Yeah.
On sevens probably 20 to 30 times consistently, back to back, and just look at his slips. And if you look at his slips and compare those to everyone else's, you'll understand it's not what they're saying. It just doesn't add up. Just do math, And
the part that is really heartbreaking for me is that I'm afraid that, Lucas, English, Sergio, Rafe, I'm afraid all those guys, because of these Greek guys, is going to kind of take the wind out of their sails, and they're not going to want to keep pushing it.
I will tell you one thing, English racing, those guys are great. They're good people. Lucas is probably one of the smartest guys I've ever met. And shout out to Miles too. I mean, good people. Just they're experienced. They can drive. I was really shocked that they were able to get in the car with all the issues they had with their clutches and do a 7-second pass at World Cup after they haven't been with that car, I don't know, a couple of years, 2-3 years since they went sevens. It just goes to show that, the proof is in the pudding. If you set up a car and you understand it, you're going to be able to make it go sevens and go consistent with this platform. So as far as, do I think they're kind of losing ambition? No, because all those guys are really close. As far as the Sergio, I've never met him. I've never seen his car in person. I saw the car go 777 a couple years ago, but since then I haven't seen that car do anything that's really worth the hype. I don't know if I think he's focusing on Hondas.
Yeah, I do think he's switching platforms. I know that his Evo was down for a while. They were doing a whole chassis upgrade, adding a lot of carbon fiber parts. So I think he just now started getting it back out.
Yeah, he also was trying to use the the Evo 10 head style with the cups and all that, and I don't think it worked out for him as far as lifter issues and all that. I mean, we all face it, and between Rafe and myself, I think we've kind of come up with a solution to this issue. Yeah. So this season should be pretty exciting.
So the lifter issue is what was making you change heads a lot at the shootout?
Yeah. And again, a lot of that was just my inexperience as a driver. And in the platform, once you start making, 12, 13, 1400 horsepower, it's a totally different animal.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not the best driver. I'm still learning as I go. But one of those issues was I was hitting limiter. Even if I was hitting limiter for a split second, it was just, shipping the lifter and collapsing. So once we realized, hey, let's stay off the limiter a little bit in the burnout box, and when, first year, stay off the limiter, we've been able to keep. I have the same exact head that we left the World Cup with. I did 6 or 7 or 8 passes consistently, 820s at the rental the day after World Cup, and car's fine. We didn't lose any rockers, any lifters, nothing. So I think we figured it out. I
bet that's a huge relief, because I remember it was 9, 10 o'clock at night, and you guys were swapping your second or third head of the day.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, again, World Cup, we didn't really have a bad outing, considering a couple of other people had to replace motors. I think Rafe had to do 2 or 3 motors.
Yeah.
Bijan had motors, a couple turbos and trannies and stuff like that. So we actually didn't have a bad outing. It was other things that kind of slowed us down, like stupid issues that I'm not going to get into, but just user error issues on my part. not paying attention to certain things and, cause big problems in the end. Once we figured that out and figured out the issues, we were able to overcome and do consistent low 8-second passes. My last pass from the car at that rental, we went 820 at 176, and I short shifted the 1-2. And when I got back in the pits, I realized that my throttle body was actually broken off. So who knows what that pass really was. I think that was a 7-second pass. Just, we were like 10 miles an hour slower, trap speed, everything else was there. I had a 1.360 foot, everything was there. So
from what I heard, they were doing great track prep over there.
Oh yeah, it was great. Obviously, World Cup was tough. It was really cold. All the track temps were really low. Nobody was really hooking, and nobody did well, in my opinion, at that event. It was so cold, but the following day, that Monday, it was like 65 degrees. So all that prep from the whole week prior was there, and we were hooking. We were hooking good, straight as an arrow. So
we talked about your 1G NA DSM, and obviously you have your Evo now. What Mitsubishis have you had in between?
Oh man, I think I've had like 10 or 12 1GAs, GSXs, TSIs. I've had a couple of GSTs, 1GBs. I've never had a 2G, I don't think. Yeah, I've never had a 2G. Shane had a bunch of 2Gs. He was the 2G guy. I was the 1G guy. But as far as like Mitsus and DSMs, that's pretty much it. I would say give or take 20 to 25 total.
That's why we get along so well. That's about my numbers right there.
And I've had, I think, 4 or 5 Evos since 2018.
All right, so if someone out there, they just bought an Evo, it's got the standard bolt-ons, but they're looking to maybe go 9s. What advice would you give them? Because I see a lot online, they're looking at the parts that are proven to run 9s. What they plan to do is just throw the parts on it and run 9s.
Nowadays, with all the technology and everything that's available off the shelf, it's really easy to go 9s in an Evo. And it's pretty cheap. But once you get past that 9, like a 990 and 980, it gets expensive because you're gonna start breaking stuff. But as far as advice to the new Evo owners, just take your time and make sure you have, spare parts, because if you want to go fast, it's not cheap and it's not easy.
Just like DSMs, I feel like Evo's, the maintenance, a little bit pushed to the side. So before you start getting into the 9s, definitely make sure your maintenance is up to standard.
Oh yeah, 100%. The most common failure on Evo would be like timing components.
Yeah.
Your tensioner, your timing belt. If you overlook that, if you're already overlooking that, it's going to be really expensive in the long run.
And then once I start going 9/8, like you were saying, 9.75, what can I expect to break first?
Transmissions are probably going to be your number one component as far as failures. If you're not building transmissions correctly, or if you're just running a stock transmission, it's only a matter of time before you start losing, third gears, fourth gears, the center diffs.
All the expensive stuff.
Yeah. T-cases too. T-cases are tough to keep in the car.
So what are your goals with the Wild Evo for 2022?
So this season is going to be interesting. We picked up a couple sponsors. I'm going to try to make as many events as possible this season now that, we're not building the car. My goal for this year, hit a 7, go 799, just try to be competitive with the car. I really want to get that monkey off my back and hit that 7-second pass, We'll see. We'll see what happens.
What about long-term goals?
I get a lot of people that ask me, when are you going to take the record? When are you going to get that record?
Yeah.
So I'm not here to take that record. Like I said, my goal for this season is to go 790 and then help Rafe get that record. Rafe deserves that world record. So if it comes down to us being at an event together and I hit a 7 and Rafe's right there at that record, if he needs parts off my car, if he needs the whole car, take it. Whatever he needs. Once he gets that record, it's whoever can go as fast.
Yeah.
Or that would be my goal as far as 2022 season would be, let's get this Wild Evo to make a 7-second pass, and then let's get, Rafe and RRT, let's get that car, the number one spot for
to
the world.
top of the list. Yeah. So, you talked a little bit about events in 2022. What events can I go out and see the Wild Evo this year?
As of right now, I'm still waiting to hear back from the Hoonigans. We might be going out to Cali to race over there for the this first that thing they got going on. Definitely that. We're gonna try to hit some IFOs. I don't normally go to those, but I think we can be really competitive this year. So try to hit those. We're definitely gonna try to hit the shootout. They changed the dates, so it's pretty close to World Cup.
Yeah.
But we're definitely trying to hit the shootout and might try to hit FL2K, and then obviously World Cup, and a lot of testing tunes here and there to try to get as many passes as possible.
So you talked about going over to the Hoonigan guys. That was we offered the fans on social media an opportunity to ask you some questions on this podcast. The one that there was at least 3 submissions. It was, hey, when are you going to race the Hoonicorn?
Right. So to my understanding, the Hoonicorn is officially retired, and that's due to Ken Block no longer racing for Ford.
Okay.
Or driving Ford anymore, so that's why his daughter was doing it. I've asked a bunch of times, are we going to go up against this Hoonicorn? And it's been pretty vague answers, like maybe, we're not sure. I don't think they want to do it. Regardless, I mean, I'm just happy to go out there, and whoever they want to put me up against, I'll race. I don't really care. They're going to have an advantage over us because we don't do no prep. The car is just going to rip tires,
right?
Drag radials. So I'm not really sure how the car will perform. But as far as the whole Hoonicorn, we're supposed to go out to Cali sometime this month. I'm just waiting for them to finalize it. Hopefully, we get out there and we race.
So a couple people asked, just like you were saying, when is the 7-second pass finally going to happen for you?
As far as that finally comment, these guys got to understand this. This is my 4th season.
Yeah.
I believe, going on my 4th season in the car. There's been guys that have been, chasing the 7-second bounty for years and years and years. So I am going to be as patient as possible.
Yeah.
Obviously, that 804 is like
exactly. I think that's what a lot of people are like, oh man, he's so close.
Yeah, I'm so close, but so far away at the same time. I think maybe, if I catch a rhythm, it'll be there. I think we'll get close. I gotta do a couple of small things, upload the Wraith tune back in there, and try to make some passes. And I'm still slipping the car myself. I don't have a slipper on there, so I'm launching the car myself. It's really hard to get consistent, but I finally started dialing in those 60 foots and going 1.3s. So.
I was gonna say I feel like you there at World Cup you got the consistency down.
Yeah, and that's how that's what we should have done originally. Is I don't think any of us thought I was gonna crack an 8.0 off the trailer. So I think that 8.0 kind of screwed me in the long run as far as getting the consistency down and learning the car.
Yeah.
So we finally made a decision over at World Cup. Let's just turn this car down. We turned it all the way down. Started with an 830 and then went down to 820s, and then we, gave it a little bit and went fast, but should have done originally. It was just kind of go slow and just slowly ease into it because this car is really, really fast. I'm still a new driver. It's just really challenging to get it to go consistent.
So a couple of people asked, what drivetrain modifications have you done to prevent breakage at the power level that you're at?
Drivetrain-wise, I run Wraith's full RRT spec, drag, dog box, and T-case. And also the rear end, it's just restacked to his specifications. So I'm running a stock rear end, and I'm running stock axles all the way around, which, again, I'm going to knock on wood. We haven't had any failures with axles. I think that's due to the suspension we're running and the chassis that we have going on. I think that's, the car just leaves so straight. It squats and it leaves very smooth.
Yeah.
So I think that's a lot. That has a lot to do with the fact that we haven't had any drivetrain failures this year, or last season, I should say. Moving forward, let's continue on that. Let's hope it doesn't fail.
A guy also wanted to ask if your T-case was non-ACD.
Oh, 100%, yeah, non-ACD. Otherwise, the car would have been like front-wheel drive. So with the ACD T-cases, they're front-wheel drive dominant. Even still, the Evos are still front-wheel drive dominant. With the non-ACD T-case, it's more of a 50-50, and they're stronger.
All right, so there you go, fans. You got all your questions answered. All right, Nick, is there anyone that you want to give a shout-out to? I know you got a lot of people that got your back. You got a big crew.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that have helped with this car. I'm just gonna try to remember everybody. The first person I'm gonna thank is my guy Shane. He's been with me since day one. We've had so many long nights, days, like so many. There's just been so much in a short period of time that we've done together with this car. So that's the first guy. My friend Billy, he was there for the last couple seasons, and he had a lot to do with the car. Victor Texera did all the fab work. He built the car. He built the chassis. He's helped a lot. He set up that suspension. He really put a lot of experience behind it and really helped. Obviously, Rafe and the whole RRT crew. Without Rafe, we wouldn't be where we are as far as how fast the car goes. All the experience and knowledge is always there to answer his phone and guide us. So we need to, give credit where credit's due. He's been in this game for, 15, 20 seasons, has a lot of R&D in his car, so he knows what to do and make it work in my car. So got to give credit where credit's due, thanks to him. Jocelyn, got to thank him. He's the guy that calms me down as soon as I sit in the car. He gives me the pre-game, pep talks and just explains, let's just go slow and slow it down in the car and make it happen. And then as far as anyone else, my friend Gianni, Hud, Fish, those guys were all there at the track with us, and they helped me tremendously. The pit crew was just phenomenal. They made it so that I didn't have to worry about doing a single thing to the car in between passes. They handled it all. I could focus on pulling logs and figuring out what was up the car, and so shout out to those guys. As far as anyone else, I don't want to miss anyone, but Sean at Mitsu for always getting the parts when we need them. My sponsors, Superior Energy Solutions, Vibrant Performance, Quartermaster, Wiseco, Precision, Emerald Services, Dunkin' Donuts. And again, I'm trying to remember Texera Fab, he's on there. Showcase Auto Collision, they painted the car. They painted the whole interior. They did all that, the whole cage, the engine bay. Bellic Industries, thanks Damien for making these wheels custom for my car. Santos Coating, he's the one that does all the powder coating. I think that's pretty much it as far as right now goes. Anybody that I forgot, I apologize. It's just it's hard to remember everybody that's involved. There's a lot of people involved.
Well, Nick, this has probably been my favorite podcast so far. I hope the listeners, they really enjoyed it. I know there's a lot to learn, a lot to take in, and I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to come on here and answer some questions, man. You've been a big supporter of the website ever since I can remember, ever since it started, constantly sharing it and doing everything like that, and I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we appreciate what you're doing. There was nobody really doing it before you, so we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the MitsuTimes podcast. Check out our Instagram and Facebook for daily updates. Get added to our list by going to MitsuTimes.org and clicking Submit a Slip. Thank you to all of our sponsors.